Watching you and Matthias work together is always such a joy because you both have that passion, both willing to let go and to say, no, let's let nature in, let's let love in.
And when you let it go, you understand it doesn't have power, but you are the power, you are the source.
The combination of syntropic agroforestry, so the regeneration of the soil, and this collective intelligence is the result of what Tierra Iris is today.
So we are the brave souls stepping in, going, hey, let's try something new. We don't know if it's going to work, but we're willing to try.
The surrendering process brought me to talk to you in this Zoom call from a cave. That's where I'm living. So it was a process of surrendering that led me to eventually being a guardian of space. I realized how nature was functioning. The more you're surrendering to this path that you choose for yourself, the more your life is becoming full of joy and magic.
When you surrender to what it is, and it's beautiful as it is, making this available to every soul that want to join us to this beautiful party that is called life.
I had this incredible dinner after one of our classes. I remember I was scratching all over my body, feeling that little animals like walking on my skin. I was like, oh wow, this is not outside of my skin, it's inside of my body. All of a sudden I realized that the food of Erika was fully activating my body. Profound, healing experience where my body was starting to again feeling alive.
When I have this realization, when I understood that I'm here and she's hosting me, and I came back for the love that I have for this planet. When I connect to her, I get emotional because it's such a power energy of love. And when I connect to her and I understood that she's keeping me in her hand like a daughter and say, please go, speak for me, be my voice. Then I really realized that I'm here for the soil, and the soil is the way to heal her. Same for the pH in the body, in the soil.
The perspective is not what I can get from the soil, but how can I be in service for the soil. I'm not planting to receive the fruits, but I'm planting to give back healing to what I already received before. How we're going to reverse this? By creating unconditional love and collaboration within the plants, and creating unconditional love and collaboration within humans.
Whatever you're focusing on, I'm creating a syntropic farm of plants that are working together, and all of a sudden, around you, guess what? Humans are working together.
I stopped to tell the story as a rebel, and I start to tell that story as my grandmother or as my mother, with patience, with compassion, and with a huge amount of love. The food is just a nice way to have a person surrendering and calming down. The little soul that is hiding somewhere there to come back out, to find his space, to feel again home and to be.
Because I didn't know how to deal with all of this abundance. I see the soul method as an abundant method. It's actually giving you an idea of how to treat this abundance. Empower till the end all the wisdom of nature. And Erika, she's the voice of this wisdom.
And for me, it's an experience that for everyone that cook and that took food in their hand, they need to understand from where it comes, to really understand the difference between something that is alive and something that is not. You will understand that we live in a system that is made for abundance, is made for collaboration.
Hopelessness is not even a thing. Come and choose life. Okay, so hi everybody. Today we've got my wonderful Erika Tangari driving the conversation in the co-pilot seat. But today we've invited Mathia from Tierra Iris on the island. Welcome, Matt.
Ciao.
Ciao. We've got a bunch of Italians on the call. So, Matt, the reason I asked Erika to do this chat with you is you guys have got a wonderful collaboration coming up, which I absolutely want to talk about. But before we do, I love hearing history and stories of people's journeys, and I think yours is a particularly fascinating one. And so perhaps for people who, number one, don't know you, and number two, don't know Tierra Iris, maybe you can just explain a little bit about who you are, and then also about the farm and about the project and the vision that you have.
Okay. Who am I? Big question.
Who am I? What a big question to start off. Thanks, Mish. Very philosophical.
Yeah, it's a concept that is evolving every day. I guess I'm starting from when I start to asking myself this question, who am I? realizing that I'm one with everything that was surrounding me, including nature and humans. That I started to realize that I was finding myself uncomfortable in living in certain dynamics. These dynamics where I used to live in cities like London and New York, and like having a very defined job, brought me to at a given point where I found a lot of peace within myself, to start and explore a new way of living in harmony with nature. I was not able to find this kind of spaces around wherever I was traveling, and so I decided to create one myself. And I didn't really decide to create it. Was a process of surrendering that led me to eventually being a guardian of space, and then slowly it became a part of a group or a collective of people that then they became also a guardian of this space. So Tierra Iris is the manifestation of this space of harmony that it was very close to my heart back in the time where I was trying to find a space where I could live, where I was able to live. The process was very long in order to get here, but whenever I found myself in this position where I was able to define how I wanted to live, there were a few interesting journey that I was able to start to study, and one was permaculture, and the second one was eco community. So the first permaculture course that I ever attended was in Mexico, and all of a sudden I had this very awakening moment when I realized how nature was functioning, and was through this Syntropic agroforestry course that I was attended. In this course, I really was able to get in tune in how nature is really working, and that was the first step. And the second one was around eco community, because I was able again to go to this course of 1 month in Tepoztlan, and I was sitting with 60-70 people that they all have this dream to live in community. And over there, I realized what was the collective intelligence and how this principle was able to manifesting any possible reality within a group of people that they have the same intention and they were holding the same fire. And so the combination of these two principles, syntropic agroforestry, so the regeneration of the soil, and this collective intelligence, is the result of what Tierra Iris is today. So Tierra Iris is a collective experiment where the main intention is regenerating the soil through regenerating the soil that then is enabling people to regenerating their soul and creating a new form of society. That's, I don't know if it's clear, if it's
it's clear to me, Mathia, and thank you for sharing. I've Eric and I've been working. Eric has been working with you much longer than I have, but we're good friends, and we consider ourselves an extension of the community. And I think what you're doing is unique. I think it's a massive task, but I do commend you for your bravery in at least trying. You know, I think the three of us, and there's many more people that I talk to, we are the brave souls stepping in, going, hey, let's try something new. We don't know if it's going to work, but we're willing to try. And so I just want to maybe spend a little bit of time. What really piqued my interest there when you said your calling to the farm, to Tierra Iris, you had to surrender. You had to surrender into it, because much like me, I was in the city living in London, or I came from South Africa, and I actually traveled the world for a year because I had this uneasiness inside me. And similarly to you, I didn't know where to be. And I didn't know that answer was not in the city as such. But I wonder perhaps if you could just describe a little bit of the surrendering journey, and maybe any key moments that moved you to say, do you know what? It's enough. Because, and the reason I use enough is because that's the point I feel that where people need to get to. And I'll give you a quick example. So my story was when I moved, I remember distinctly having a conversation with friends who were in Ibiza, and I got off, it was a Zoom call, and we were catching up, and it was during COVID. And I distinctly remember sitting in my living room. I had a beautiful place in London, and I was looking out the window, and there was nothing wrong with my place in London. I had an amazing place. I had a cool job. There wasn't anything particularly wrong, except for my heart was like in chaos. And I remember looking out the window, and this voice came through. And the question that was asked was, is this the view that you want for the rest of your life? And the answer quickly came, was like, no. And I was like, shit, okay. And so that for me was like a real a moment of where it kind of hit me, going, wow, okay, Mish, your time is done, and onwards, really. And so I wonder perhaps if you have, and it was a case of surrendering, and I think that's one of the most trickiest parts to move into this new world as such, is the surrendering part. And so perhaps you could describe maybe a seminal moment that happened for you in your path.
Well, the surrendering process brought me to talk to you in this Zoom call from a cave. That's where I'm living, so at the moment, from a beautiful flat in Chelsea as well, in London. I think this cathartic moment was definitely during COVID, where like my main business at the time was completely collapsing, and I found myself not spending this COVID time in London, but I'd rather decided to spend it on the beach in Mexico. And while my whole finances and the whole world was going in chaos, I was finding a lot of peace. And so, I was like losing all of my money, but I was happy. And I was like, oh, wow. So there is something more than this. And and then slowly, as I was more and more clear with myself and what I wanted, and definitely more clean with my body, and more connected with my intention, there is a very beautiful game that I don't know if it's the universe or whoever is above us is playing. It's just like keep sending beautiful sign, and the more you're surrendering to this sign, and you're really like acknowledge that it's kind of giving you the direction, no? Like Hansel and Gretel, where they're like leaving this piece of bread on the road, and you're like, it's up to you to take it. And they're always like bringing you to why you are here, like what is your big why and what is your mission. So like the more like you are into that flow, the more you're surrendering to this path that you choose for yourself, the more your life is becoming easier and healthier and like live, like and full of joy and magic. So I guess this surrendering process is just allowing yourself to follow that path. And you're like people that they are into this path. It's very easy for them to describe it. And I guess that the more you are into it, the more it's becoming part of your life. And while I was not aware that the signs, they're always been there, I was not just ready to catch them. Yeah. The moment that you're just slowing down and you're really like getting in tune with that, then life is manifesting on your way in multiple directions. In my way was that I had the opportunity to study what I had to study in order to be ready to then getting this land that was offered to me. Was not something that I looked after. And so like the people that decided to come and live with us and like experimenting with us, they just came. We didn't look for them, like and all of a sudden everything is coming in this way. Yeah. They flow in this way, in the same direction. Love is coming in the same direction. People that are bringing so much wisdom and happiness and love to this land, they're always coming. They're not. You don't really need to seek or looking for anything. It's because it's part of your journey. Beautiful. And so this is the way I'm perceiving this surrendering process.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that story, Matt. That's wow. So Erika, I'd also invite you to maybe share a moment of surrender, because I feel like you've been on the island for longer than the both of us, the Mathias and I. But perhaps anything that pops in your head about your journey of surrender.
Yeah, I think that the last surrendering communication that I receive is on the passage right now of the alchemical knowledge. The gift and the mission that I felt to offer in this journey, that is my life in this time, is an understanding of how the elements on this planet, on this unity, move through a state of another. Because as we are all one, Baba, the dog of the community.
That's it.
As we are one in this reality, then the energy just change shape or form or attribute, like the emotion. It's energy that moves, but just change color, change vibration or frequency. The same is about the elements that surround us. Is the same life force that change shape. And since I'm a child, I have quite a interesting understanding of how this energy moves. And then I study a little bit more and I apply and I practice, because the secret for become a master on something is practicing. Yeah. I practice it in my journey of 15 years as a food alchemist, and I start to see pattern or repetition. Then you can call them as secret geometry, because a pattern at the end design geometry. And then I, at this moment, able to narrate, to explain them. And the mission on surrendering right now is to let go on any possessiveness of egoness or chefiness on this understanding, and actually sharing it with all the ears and heart that are open to listen it, to then share the happiness, the joy, and the fulfillment and wellness and abundance that the understanding of this eternal law bring with it. That's when you surrender to what it is, because you see how it works, and then you just understand that it is what it is, and it's beautiful as it is. So right now I'm literally letting go of any possession on this understanding, and I'm making this available to every soul that want to join us to this beautiful party that is called life.
Yeah, nice. And I think, and I've been with you on part of that journey, my love, and it's been quite a step, because as a chef traditionally, or food alchemist as you call yourself, there's a lot of secretism, like my recipe or my nonna's secret tomato sauce, and traditionally that's kind of what's gone with the territory. And so that's like when I tap into that, it's like, wow, that's a big ask of letting go, in the same way perhaps as citizens, as you sometimes like to call me, being a person from the city and now no longer, and that's fine, there's no judgment on either. But you know, letting go of the system as such, you know, and the theme here is letting go of things. And watching you and Matthias work together is always such a joy, because you both have that passion, and you're both willing to let go and to say, no, let's let nature in, let's let love in, let's let more and more isness in. And you both do that so well. And so I want to maybe just for the audience, just to ask a little bit about both of your views on how did you guys meet each other? And because when you guys are together, it's like you're old friends. Like lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And perhaps Matt, if we just start with you, what was the initial kind of you know, spark between your friendship with Erika?
Well, I was invited to this art exhibition at a dear friend of ours in Sant'Agnès, and I was, I think, couple of years, 2 years ago maybe, and I remember, you know, it's very common on the island to have a lot of spiritual practice, which I appreciate and I see, but sometimes I was really struggling to find authenticity in words and in action, and a lot of coherence. And it was this moment in time where there was Alex and Diego, and that they're like very, very good friend of ours, that invited us to this art exhibition, and Erika was holding space and like explaining to multiple people at the same time that they were arriving at her chef table what was in their dish, and her presence and her message and word, they were so alive and so focused that when I left that place, I was feeling very enthusiastic, and I was feeling alive. I don't know. I came back home and I was like very, very happy that there were like such a beautiful human being on this island that had the same frequency as mine. And so
nice.
we didn't talk much that days, and then life as usual like bring back people together that they share the same vision, and eventually we met again and again and again until last year we decided to give space to the soul method here in Tierra Iris, and then start to share this method to the people that were staying here in Tierra Iris, and it was a huge success. And so from that moment on, I really understood that what she was explaining with food and with the activation of the food, that it was so aligned with what we were doing with the soil. It was exactly the specular work that was happening in the soil. She was doing it with the gut and with the human body. So like there was exactly the same language. It was just different words, but it was exactly the same message. And I'm pretty sure it's a divine message. But there was one moment in time where like, and I would, it's keeps giving me goosebumps, where like I had this incredible dinner after one of our classes, and I remember I was scratching all over my body, feeling that I had some ants or like little animals like walking on my skin. And then I'm going to the bathroom to check where are these these ants. And then I was like, oh wow, this is not outside of my skin, it's inside of my body. And all of a sudden I realized that the food of Erika was fully activating my body. It was like a profound, you know, healing experience where my body was starting to again like feeling alive. And since then it was like, okay, like this is it. Like I'm not gonna let Erika going anywhere in my life, like far from me.
Oh,
and 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 it's like more than a visionary of what she's doing. I have to say that for me it's a beautiful friendship. It's like a beautiful like old soul that I met already before, and I'm encountering again into this island, and it makes me, it gives me this strength and also this understanding when sometimes I'm struggling to be, to feel understood by others, because I know that she's in the same process. So I'm like I'm very profoundly touched and grateful for this encounter that the angel sent to me.
thank you for sharing that. I actually remember that very story. So thank you for reminding me. It's such a beautiful. I remember thinking, wow, that's so true. So what a beautiful way of putting it. So thank you for that. Amore, how would you describe your meeting and friendship with our good man, Matthias?
Well, he already say a lot, and I'm very grateful to have him in my life. He's a brother in all level, and when I met him, when we start to talk, was like feeling home, but that feeling that happened when you arrive on a certain place, or when you feel that everything is in the right time and the right dance. With him is always like this. Many times we arrive in an event without anything really prepared, but full on the trust. So we have this pillar in common that are the trust and a strong core on being in the truth and standing in this way of holding space, where we are aligned in this and in present one with each other. The frequency, the vibration is exactly the same. So it's like being with the same instrument and start to vibrate. It's like two diapason that vibrate at the same frequency. So it's completely home. I recharge myself when I'm with him, and he recharges itself. And it's like a dance of confirmation. It's like coming back home. It's like when, it's like literally when something as an exact match and energetically is something very much safe, because we live so much in the flow. I speak about myself, but I know also for Matt. And when we are in complete flow, but you flow with someone else, become a sort of a relax, become a sort of a peaceful place. It's like, yeah, we stay when we are very center and focus in the center of the hurricane, but when two hurricane meet, we create a bigger space of this peace, so become a very nice place to be, where space and time encounter themselves. Also, the fact that we are anciently friends, we bring a lot of knowledge from different sides. So when I sit with him, and I'm also love to nourish him, because I'm here on this planet to nourish, to manifest the nourishment of the transformation. So, and he loves to be nourished, and it's not easy for him to be nourished, because his mission is a little bit of, even if he is in a community, it's a solitary mission. So it's very nice for him to be fed. So it happened, this kind of magic between me and you, where what I'm here to, like a monad, like a cell of this system, I'm here in a nourishing pattern, and he is here in a solitary pattern. So when he finds someone that can nourish his energy without wanting anything or without draining, it's such it's like a celebration. So we have this kind of way of encountering, and everything can storm around, but when we meet, it's home. Like we can have 350 people around, we can land an event, we can wherever, everything can happen, but every time that we meet is like We like do the pied à terre. We put down the energy, we ground, we open up to the sky, to the information, and we keep on going. So that's that kind of meeting is like similar to what the ants do when they are going maybe miles away, and then when they meet, they exchange the information so they don't get lost and they keep on going. Similar things. Bees and ants do this kind of things. Yeah. Me and Matt, we do the same things. When we meet, we open the door between earth and sky, and we exchange coordinates to always feel home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me I had to cry during the...
And the reason I asked that question in particular, and I know it's not related necessarily to soil or soul, but you know, in that path of surrendering, sometimes it can feel very lonely. And a part of that surrendering is what I understand as a process of ungrouping. So what does that mean? The process of ungrouping is when you ungroup, you let go of that ideology, that identity that you thought you needed to be. So in my case, if I just paint the picture of what London was as a South African, it was work hard, play hard, party hard, earn as much money, etc., climb the corporate ladder. And there's nothing wrong with those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. That's absolutely cool. It's a path, and that's all it is. But for me, it was, you know, whether you mentioned it, Erika, whether you feel home or not. And so when you ungroup from those identities as such, you kind of go into a bit of a shock going, I'm free falling. I've got no friends. Like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, like no one understands me. And then all of a sudden you meet these people that you're like, yes, like, ha. Like, that's what happened with Erika and I when we first met each other. It was like, choo, like, whoa, okay, choo, choo, choo. And you know, I had a similar feeling with Mathia. I could see that the two of you guys go way back, and also it's so easy to be around Matt. It's not difficult. And so I think that's an important point when people are on that path, because you know, people are going to be moving towards that path, I think, more and more as they ungroup and realize, my heart's voice is important as well. And as they start to listen more to their hearts, they're going to go, okay, so it's not as bad as I think it's going to be. And then have the courage to step out, because it's there is home. Home is always where you are, but it's recognizing what home is so that you can recognize it in someone else. And it's beautiful to hear the both of you saying the same things. So that's wonderful. And so moving on to specifically, I think where I've seen the two of you both really get lit up is on the soil part, because Erika, I know you're obviously on the food part, but we wouldn't have food without soil, right? And so perhaps, Erika, maybe if you could just kick off, just like, because this passion towards soil really kicked off towards the back end of last year when you joined the Syntropic Farming event last year when Matt held it with the guys from Mexico. But I know your talks that, you know, the council here in Ibiza have asked you to give, even those that you gave became centered around soil, even though they were asking you to come as a chef and a food alchemist to talk about food. And so that really lit something in you. And so perhaps you could just speak to where that passion was ignited from. What was it that kind of the penny dropped and you were like, it's very much about the soil?
Yeah. Thank you. It's more and going when you let go of who you are, when you cut out the border or the limitation that you put at yourself to give yourself a name or a job or all the definition that you described before, you are able to start to move into interdimensional level. So you can be you can be your mother, you can be your grandmother, as you can be a child, all in the same time. But as can work in the space and time, so you can stretch your age, and you can embody all the metaphorical allegory of the different age, so mother, father, and keep the child alive, you can also do it in the space. So by nourishing and by serving thousands of dish of meal to people, and start to feel what is that kind of love that come from my heart when I cook, because when I'm using my hand, it's literally a prolong of my heart, and so I'm feeling that vibration that is nourishing and infusing all my cell of my body, of that kind of comprehension, and also because is a technology, this kind of frequency, this kind of vibration that we call love, but is a pure mathematical kind of wave, and you can feel it infusing and healing your body, bringing light inside of your body, and also in the food, and then get digested and then pass to another cell. I could feel how what I was doing is what our planet, Mother Earth, and then so the surface is doing with each species, as human, but to all the species. And observing what nature each season right now. Yesterday, me and you, Mishi, we were walking on our beautiful Sant'Agnès, and we were watching how all the different plants that are now out for detoxifying the body, like the milk thistle, Cardo Mariano, in all the variety. We were watching the beautiful blue flower. What was the name I told you yesterday? Now it doesn't come to me.
You asked me to remember.
You do ravioli,
it looks like a blue lotus, but it's not.
Voragine. That tastes a little bit like oyster, because it helps a lot of the kidney, because has the power of the water in it, and then the wild mustard that is flowering in this moment. So like so gently, even if the soil is so impoverished because we treat it not in a proper way, and we don't have the right technology. We are still not using the right technology to treat it. We are still not listening to how this beautiful, abundant woman want to be treated. We are not communicating in a proper way. That's why we are abusing, because we are still not open to the communication, because the instructions are there. She's learning to speak more loudly, and the ears now are open.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I understood is I'm here because she asked me to speak for her. When I have this realization, when I understood that I'm here and she's hosting me, and I came back for the love that I have for her, for Hera, for this planet, for this big incarnation of a woman, but is a huge one, is a big mother, is like a big Mother Mary, and it's when I connect to her, I get emotional, because it's such a power energy of love. And when I connect to her, and I understood that she's keeping me in her hand, to like a daughter, and say, please go, speak for me, be my voice. When I understood this connection, and when this kind of intuition, this information was coming more and more and more to me, then I really realized that I'm here for the soil. I'm here for the mother. I'm here for this deep love that I have for this planet, and like a being is a living being that communicate with who want to hear. And then what I do, I simply leave her the voice to speak. So I'm here to give voice to her, and the soil is the way to heal her. So as we do a massage, Ayurveda speak about the oil massage, all the Panchakarma, the way to rebuild an entire body through the Ayurvedic, the Panchakarma system is 21 days of massaging oil that go and nourish the body, and so the soul and all the organs passing through the surface, the soil. And so as our body works, as our also belly, because again, our belly, our intestine or stomach is the planet, but turn it around, like close it inside out. And I start to observe all the very much similarity in all this world, like same for the pH in the body, in the soil. Same for the bacteria in the soil, in the body. Same for diversification and inclusion instead of exclusion and monoculture or monobacteria. It means sickness, it means immunodeficiency, deficiency, and so it means illness and death. The same for our planet. So there are so many different analogies. Again, if we use the analogic wave of thinking and not a vertical rigid logic way or scientific that is that doesn't open to an analogies. So start to think for this as above, so below. Start to use the zoom in, zoom out that I use so much in the soul method. So this camera that is able to let us understand that we are not only me, Erika, alone. I'm me, Erika, in a community, an Ibiza community, a Tierra Iris community. I'm Erika in a Mediterranean community, a microclimate. I'm Erika in a European community that is going to change, and in a society that is right now changing. And we all feel it. We are all connected. We are all going through this change together, a planetary change, and then again a universe, and bigger. Yeah. But if I stretch it in, my cell, each of my cell, my epithelium, my skin, my brain are going through this change. So when you start to move the perspective and you start to connect really with everything inside and outside, so you are able to space shift, to move, you really can connect with every single instant, every single moment, and you really understand that the soil, as your soil, are the key for the change.
And that's really felt for me more and more when, especially now, and this is something new to me when I got here, because I've never seen it being done elsewhere, is in Ibiza, the churning of the soil. And last night on our walk, we got back, and there's a particular part next to Santa Ignace car park that they've literally just like dug the ground and tossed these big boulders out. And last night I actually kind of leant down and I touched one of the sand rock things, and I was just like kind of half apologizing, not even half apologizing, just like, sorry, with such not so kind to the planet, because I think she is speaking louder and louder. And this is reflected through all the earth changes that are happening on the planet, because Gaia is, as her own consciousness, she's ascending and changing and moving through her own stuff. And she's also saying enough, like Mathia said, enough to not living where, he wanted a space where he could feel okay. Like I said, enough, and I needed to change in my own way. Everyone as a consciousness is moving their own groove. But it's certainly getting louder, and I think, as you say, Erika, the call within is getting louder. And so what the next question then becomes, well, what's next? And I think, Matt, you can really speak really well to this, because from going to your farm, Erika and I have walked the land there with you, and we've seen the work that you guys have done and worked with the guys from Mexico in approaching things in a different way. And so perhaps you could just maybe speak to how you guys are not following the Ibithenka way of like smashing the soil and then planting one crop like potatoes, because we know potatoes are going to make money and they're going to be turned into potato chips, which are wonderful. And by the way, I still eat potato chips, so I'm not saying that's the worst thing, but that's kind of the mentality. It's the whole agriculture industrial view, but I think it's worth just exploring that as a subject, and what is the whole view on syntropic farming, and what is the difference between the old and the new, which are the ways you're doing your best to employ on the farm there?
Well, it's definitely a change of perspective. Erika was saying is like the perspective is not what I can get from the soil, but how can I be in service for the soil, right? And it's, if already go into this new paradigm, is like, I'm not planting to receive the fruits, but I'm planting to give back healing to what I already received before. And so just being grateful for what I've received, and just giving a little bit of our heart and our love and our energy to make sure that we are here also to say thank you. And so unfortunately, humans, they develop this very fast approach in how to get things through technology, how to get things done quickly and without efforts. And so and the beautiful thing is that the soil and Mother Earth, with a lot of compassion, let us discover this way for many, many years. And now, like, we are slowly awakening to the fact that it's not the way any longer. And so some humans, they start to awake, and one especially, there was this old man called Ernst Scotch 40 years ago. He was trying to approach agriculture in a different way, not like from the human mind perspective, but really try to understand how Mother Nature evolved within the millions of years, try to understand which one are the natural succession. So he went so deep into this journey of understanding, like, how did we get to the point where a tree is giving us fruit, and that these fruits are like the food for our belly. And then from there, like, we start to evolve as a humans, and the animals, they start to evolve as animals. So it went from the beginning, and from the beginning when this planet was just a rock, and how life came into this planet. And so he just studied the first form of life, from the microorganism that then developed into bacteria, and then developed into fungi, and so on, to then create the first substrate, where there is the first plants that are colonizing these rocks that are like the weed. And then the weeds, they're basically creating biomass, right? And then this biomass that is increasing, is evolving into plants or trees of accumulation that creates other biomass, but larger. And then from this huge biomass that it has been created, how then by giving it back to the soil, there is this transformation, this alchemy, that then is growing into fruit trees, into flowers, into vegetables, that then gives lives, and so he developed this method where, like, he understand all of this natural succession, and he put millions of years of knowledge into a single day process, where he designed where all of these elements, they can go together into a system. And then he basically understood that the only place where there is harmony in our planet is the forest, where is the full manifestation of nature. And so he's copying and paste what's happening into a forest into an agroforestry method, which means I'm giving back to the soil. I'm making sure that I design my land into a way that looks like a forest, and I'm making it also useful for human to foraging their foods, and make sure that they're creating their own ecosystem that is a full harmonized ecosystem. So in this case, we have in our hands the power to accelerate the process of regeneration, because we all know that nature is going to regenerate herself within time. There is no, she has been doing it for millions of years. So the humans, the thing that they can do is re-accelerate this process at the same speed that and how they degenerate the process back in this past hundreds of years. So like, we have possibility to revert this decline that we announced a couple of hundreds years ago with the agriculture revolution and industrialization. And now we can regenerate this process in a faster way. And so the motto of this guy that is called Ernst Scotch was, we can plant the water, which means for him, by creating this design of agroforestry, we can call humidity, and we can call the clouds to then give us back the rain, even in places where they've been fully desertified for years. And it's just, again, like a very beautiful awakening process in personally in my journey, where I understood that me as a human, I have the possibility to create my little paradise without water, without too much input from the outside, and I'm able to having these hands of God, where I'm basically having the opportunity to following the wisdom of nature and applying it into where I'm living as a human. Then it's just fascinating to observe that just with our mind and with our intellect, sometimes we can create beauty all around us, and with our heart we can reharmonize places that have been desertified for a very, very long time. And so, like, you know, to our land, that it has been massively agriculture used for like the last 40-50 years for the traditional agriculture. Within 2 years, we've been able to recall birds to come into trees that are growing for 3 to 4 meters per year. And so now we have a little forest after 2 years, and it's just like you have no explanation for that. It's just like walking barefoot into paradise, into a place where, like, not long ago you could not even standing for too long because it was too sunny. There was no shades anywhere, and now you have trees of 4 meters planted with seeds, and this process is very fascinating. And so I guess the more people they're making themselves aware that they have this possibility to create their own reality, the more the more I see that this new way of living is going to be incorporated in the life of many. And when, you know, we all know that when you start to grow your own food and living with the natural rhythm of life and eating your own food and the seasonal food, it's your life just become full. Like, you don't need anything else rather than that. So this is more or less what I've been learning from this syntropic agroforestry system. I've been learning it from different teachers. These 2 particular teachers that are coming to the course from Mexico, they have an association called Tierra Negra, and they've been helping many farmers and many like families to develop their dream in Mexico and Brazil. And it's also beautiful to observe that 2 years later, since I first asked them to come here, now they're already like starting in Europe to do like 3-4 courses already, like this number, you know. So like it's also expanding here in Europe more and more this method. There are many people on the island following this technology, and the beauty is that this community of people that are connected, they're so helping within each other because they're in the same mission. So like you're really like asking for help, and there is such an unconditional help from all of this community that is absolutely incredible. Like it's really an extended family, and it's, you know, my hope is that it could expand more and more. And so that's
and thanks for that, Matt. That's such a beautiful explanation, and I for one have seen it. I remember coming to Tierra Iris, and you know, the plants were small, and then a couple of months I was like, whoa, this is really working, just like they did on the video. And it's very seldom when you watch things like the Syntropic Farming, and I can put a link in the show notes, a Syntropic Farming video where they explain how farming in a syntropic way is in more harmony, and things grow quicker, and you can have diverse cultures next to each other. And then actually walking a land to see it progresses. It's really exciting and nice to see that, especially in a place in Ibiza where there's times where you're driving and you're looking at it and you're like, whoa, you know, that land's getting burnt, quite literally scorched, and it's so not required. And we have this bullshit narrative of there's not enough water, or it's too hot, or excuse, when the actual thing that we need is for people to, number one, take responsibility, and two, to take action, which is kind of what you've done. You're like, hey, I'm going to try it out. Maybe it doesn't work, but I'm willing to try.
Exactly.
And so it's awesome to see. And I know, I remember last year, Erika and I walking through some of the kind of rows of food there, just helping with foraging and saying, hey guys, let's do something with this. And I think that's, to your point of the community, this is the change where people actually organically say, hey, and Erika as a food alchemist was like, Mathia, you guys can make a little spice, you know, salt, and let me show you how to do this. And off you go. And then someone else comes and says, hey, but you could do this. And I think that's what's really beautiful about the change, is because people become collaborative, because they know that the old way of divisiveness and competition and, you know, I'm better than you, all that, it's no longer the way.
And it's funny to observe this, because the method you are creating with the syntropic agroforest, it's collaboration within plants, while monoculture is creating competition with plants. So like, it's, you know, you're like calling the same frequency within people, are like that are in one field or the other one. But monoculture in agriculture or in our society, it's exactly the same. You know, like we're living in monoculture in our society, in our box, in our apartment, fully separate from other individuals, all in competition with other individuals, and we manifested this into our soil with the plants. And so, like, how we're going to reverse this? By creating unconditional love and collaboration within the plants, and creating unconditional love and collaboration within humans. And so it's just a different perspective, can change very, very easily. Like it's just by trying, and and the rest, it's gonna, like, your life is just becoming easier because it is in tune what we really are. So
yeah, and it's such a beautiful point. We actually just had a friend over for lunch, and she's living in Mallorca at the moment, and she said to me, she said, Mish, you know, she's also a chef, and also does amazing kind of work. And she said, you know, Mish, a lot of people I've been speaking to Ibiza are telling me it's getting really hard, and it's getting really crazy, and it's getting like really, people are shouting at each other, and it's getting really hard. And she said, and Mish, I'd love to hear your take, because I'm coming to hear what's happening with the lights in Ibiza, she said to me. And I think that's so beautiful, because it's so true. Like, whatever you're focusing on and whatever you're creating, like you're saying, I'm creating a syntropic farm of plants that are working together. And all of a sudden around you, guess what? Humans are working together. And so it's a heart shift as opposed to a mind shift. It's a heart shift to go, click. When I am that way of being, then it comes back to me. And so, Erika, I want to kind of throw the ball across to you. Perhaps speaking about, you know, collaboration, when you start to see the change, when people make that heart shift on the food side, you know, when things start to collaborate. I know you talk a lot about the bacteria. You know, the moment you start changing your heart shift, if you like, in what you put in your body, and that's kind of why we started the Double Detox program, was to get people just to try something, and then to see, oh wow, okay, the flow is very different. And so perhaps you could just speak to collaboration on the food side. When we make that heart shift, what are you seeing when people make that shift into the flow? What do you see, what the changes in people's lives or in bodies when they make that shift in on the food side?
It's never the food. I use the food as an illusion, because at the end nothing exists. I always say, look how beautiful is this plate that I'm placing in front of you, but it's actually what you are telling to yourself. Right now, the food is an easy way to reach the heart of the people because of the abuse. that happen around food.
Mhm.
So as you, my love, teach me, dress straight and infiltrate. So what I actually do is serve to people what they expect and what is comfort zone. Because food is the comfort of all the suppressed emotion of everything that we don't allow ourselves to be. When we go in monoculture, because we are so divine, we are so expansive, we are so abundant, we are so everything, because we are everything. But when we monoculturize us, when we cut out and we exclude and we, because that's what we feel, that not feeling at home, because you are so thin in that line that you build up, you exclude so much, you sterilize so much, not only physically, like wash, like clean, bacteria, my enemy, or in your life, in your presence, in your heating, like the law about the food and the sterilization. Thanks God now the fermentation is allowed. The biggest restaurant and the Michelin star are all working on fermentation right now. Yeah. Just 10 years ago, they were coming to close. The HCCP was coming to close your restaurant if you were fermenting, by the way. Olives, honey that everybody eat is fermented by the bees through this. So all the food that is immortal, that doesn't expire, is fermented, because something that is alive never die. So, but going back to what I was saying, people understand the food is the last comfort things, is the last things that we connect as life, and also this craving, this remember, is the first things that our mom give us when we are crying. As soon as an emotion for a child is coming up and we don't know which kind of emotion, and we have mainly for an ear that is not trained, a baby is crying, even though he's crying and he's communicating different things. A baby, when it's crying because he's in anger, it has a certain vibration. Even there are different vocals when a child is crying for different reason. But anyway, whichever is the reason, you receive the boobs of your mom or the milk or whatever, and that's the solution. So also as an adult, what we do when some emotion is coming, but in the society is not well accepted, because anger, no, sadness, no, just a medium smile, and doesn't matter what it is, just keep on going. So we keep on putting down, literally with the food, our real being. And so I use as a Trojan horse the food to just present it to you, and then slowly I start to tell you the story. But I stop to tell the story as a rebel to try to force my truth, and I start to tell that story as my grandmother or as my mother are able to do, with patience, with compassion, and with a huge amount of love. Because on the other side of that plate, I just see a piece of myself, and I see who I was, and I see who maybe I will be again. And so I just have a huge dose of compassion, a lot of love, and all my heart in the desire of nourishing this change that is happening one plate at a time, every day in my life. So what I see, going back to your question, is the food is just a nice way to have a person surrendering and calming down. Because in front of the food, the child just open up, because it is trusting. Because remember also the mouth and our gonads, our reproductive system, they were the same molecule, they were the same cell when we start to reproduce, and we were closed like little beings, and we reopen. So passing from the sexuality, so the very intimate part, the love, that holy place, and your mouth, both souls, the voice and the verbs, are the gate for, again, the unity. So somehow, with much care and with all the gentleness, tenderness that I can, I am allowed to use the gate to the unity, first with the food, and then second with my love, with my word, and with my channeling, with my understanding, giving voice to Mother, to the planet, to call back the little soul that is hiding somewhere there to come back out, to find his space, to feel again home and to be. So that's a little bit how I use the food. And right now, with you, Mish, in collaboration, going back to the beginning of this interview, when I say what I'm renouncing and what I'm letting go of the knowledge of alchemy, I'm letting go of the elements. Because now that I understand it very well, as I was saying at the end, just a few seconds ago, this is an illusion. So then you can let it go. And then going into the real understanding, then there is the fast. Then there is the letting go of also this abuse, this engagement, these last things that has power on you. And when you let it go, you understand that it doesn't have power, but you are the power. You are the source. And then from there, you literally step into your infinite power, your understanding of your divine source, and there you are unstoppable because you are who you are. And that's what we are discovering, and that's what me and you, Mishi, are walking together, and we are inviting people to walk with us through this beautiful path of empowering and rediscovering the beautiful place that is home inside of you.
Beautiful, my babe. And it really just illustrates nicely that whole cycle of the plant, right? From that seed, the plant grows, we grow, we fully flourish, and then the leaves drop. At some point, the leaves need to hit the soil and you got to let go. And at some point, you've got to go back to the soil. And so there is always that cycle. And so the question then becomes, what are you doing between that time when you open up as a seed to that time when your last leaf drops? What are you doing? What experience are you having? Because ultimately the process, the nature of reality is fractal, is the same, whether it's a tree dropping its leaf to become biomass, or the food being an illusion to re-nurture. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely the game. And so one game that people can play, which we're going to play a little game here, Matt, is if I was a person coming to you and I said, Matt, I've heard about this cool food alchemist and she's doing this course at Tierra Iris. Do you know her, and can you tell me about her? Because for me, I think everyone should come and spend time with you guys. First week in May that you're hosting this retreat or this course, this event that's on your land. And so perhaps you could kind of speak to why folks should join Erika. And then Erika, I'm going to flip it and say, why should you go and spend time with Matt and his team on the land and doing the syntropic side of things? So Matt, perhaps we could kind of kick off with your views on why folks should come and learn about the soul method.
So I've been hosting this Syntropic agroforestry already for 3 editions here in Tierra Iris, and there was always a missing point. Like there was always something missing for me. Which was okay. Like now we prepare the soil. We're starting to receive all the fruits and vegetable of Mother Earth, and it's like, okay, what's next? Like definitely we can eat them as they're arriving and prepare them like super simple, and it's already beautiful. But I do believe that there is this power in our hands, in our heart, to transform with our journey in life that we have been going through now, from all of our travels, all of our books, and all of our like experience with our parents and the elders that we met, in how to transform and alchemizing these fruits from our soil. And then there were like the soul method when came into my life was exactly this completion of this cycle. because in many ways, you know, nature is always giving you the fruits and the vegetables and the plants at the given time. But then there is always been this mission from humans since, like, how I'm gonna preserve this food, how I'm gonna activate it, how I'm gonna preserve it, how I'm gonna ferment it, because I want to keep it alive. And this is one part that I've been personally struggling, because I didn't know how to deal with all of this abundance. And the soul method is actually giving you an idea of how to treat this abundance, because in a way it's like opening you to this abundant frequency. Because even if we receive all of these fruits and vegetables from Mother Earth, we always had this scarcity mentality of like, oh, I need to either get it and eat it now, or like either like leaving it into the soil because I don't know how to treat them. And so I see the soul method as an abundant method for expanding consciousness, and to really like to really empower until the end all the wisdom of nature, getting all the little details of what nature is giving us. And Erika, she's the voice of this wisdom. And I feel this retreat more and more is becoming this journey where we really we are understanding all of this process, right? All of the cycle, and combining this super beautiful and new technology, as I call it, or alchemy of the syntropic system and the soul method. I feel it's quite revolutionary, and it's quite empowering humans to feel alive and centered, and focus on what they have to do. And so, you know, by following simple steps, I think like you're able again to go back to surrender to this process of your life, and to fully being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, nice.
That's it.
Beautiful. Amore.
Yeah, and on reverse, the person to come and understand more on syntropic farming, syntropic agroforestry, with Matt, of course, in Tierra Iris, but with the two amazing Rodrigo and Daniel. They are two spark of light, and they are so passionate in what they explain. And for me, it's an experience that every vegan, vegetarian, wherever chef, and everybody that is working in the food industry, that I hate to call industry, by the way, but right now it's the name that defines this unlucky sector, but everyone that wants to define himself. Alchemists, of course you have to know about, if not, it's not even a proper name, but everybody that speak about being a vegan chef, if you don't connect, but this is, that's for everyone that cook and that took food in their hand, they need to understand from where it comes, to really understand the difference between something that is alive and something that is not. It's so easy to fall into a net and to keep on being in a life that is not alive, if you don't see what life in reality is. Reality is not brilliant shining apple, not a clean, dry, one leaves of rucola, same in a plastic bag. And as soon as you open it, it died. There is no taste, there is no smell, there is not. So I always say we spend the last 100 years as a society to fight any bugs on our salad. Now I wish to each of you to have thousands of insects in your salad. That means that salad is medicinal. That is medicine. It's not only food, it's medicine for your soul, for your body. If animal are eating it and they are around it, and there are roots and there is dirt around, it means that it has been growing in a soil that is still alive. So you have certainty that produce is keeping you connected to the life chain instead of a chain that is made to trap you, to keep you enslaved. So understanding and put your hand in the soil, first of all, ground you. That is the most recognized therapy right now, also from normal doctor, people that are freaking out, people that are depressed, people that have psychotic attack. What you do, you go barefoot in the soil. That's medicine for chemical, mechanical, and physical reason. I don't go deep into that, but there are tons of material everywhere, and you can understand by researching by yourself. I will not feed this, but this kind of experience shift completely and emotion me under many aspects. So understanding from where our food and which can be our relation with the origin of our abundance, with the nourishment. First of all, exclude from yourself the fear of lack. You will understand that we live in a system that is made for abundance, is made for collaboration, is made for unity, is made for sustain you, to help you. You are not alone. You are sustained each step of the way by a system that is made for it. The planet evolved a technology superior to any technology you can understand that has been created for success, for you to succeed. Why any other course have sense if not this, where you understand that you are a winner in a winning planet? So, and that become a new layer for you. So any depression, any fear, any anxiety, they just disappear, they dissolve. And that's what I wish to everyone. Best than a psychologist, best than a therapy, like.
And there's no judgments around those modalities either. There's no judgment around anything, of course. However,
welcome to all of them.
Yeah, of course.
But try also, maybe if you are 20 years that you are doing analysis, maybe try also something different.
Exactly.
But absolutely, welcome all the technology, all the typology of evolution. But try something new. You are welcome.
Yeah, well put. And I think interestingly, I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's talking about how men in particular are struggling with a lot of anxiety, and he's recognizing it, and he doesn't know what to do about it because he's had his own challenges. And I think just extrapolating from that, globally, there is potentially, depending on where you're looking, there's a lot of hopelessness out there. And what I love about what the two of you are doing in this collaboration is that you're you're saying, hey, hopelessness is not even a thing. Come and choose life. Come and choose life. And we'll show you what life is because of the abundant nature and the technology that is so obvious. Like this, the syntropic farming is so obvious. And as you say, when you get your hands in the land, you connect in. And I think that's what I love really about this collaboration is it's the choosing life, and you're going to see the abundance. And that's an easy cure for hopelessness, for sure. One of the options, there are a gazillion, but for me, I like to choose ease. And it's pretty fun as well because it's an amazing bunch of individuals on a beautiful island with stunning land and, you know, plenty of place to stay and hang out. So how many we still got place left, Matt?
A couple of places, yeah. Mostly two spots here in the house, and then for residents, a couple of places.
All right, wonderful. So I'll put the link in the show notes. I just wanted to leave one last kind of closing comment. Is there anything that you guys, you know, for viewers who are watching, what would you kind of want them to know or to share with them in a closing kind of thought or heart stream?
Well, it comes to me very clearly that we are truly awakening collectively from a dream that it has been sold to us for so many years. And there is no doubt that this journey, for many tradition, it has been called the Camino al Sol, which is the journey to the sun. And the journey to the sun is a journey where we're embracing life and reality as it is. It can look a little bit harsh and difficult because there is more action to manifest your reality. But it is this awakening process where we can manifest our own reality and the life that we deserve. So I'm really embracing this Camino al Sol. The soul method, for no doubt, is part of this collective vision. And yes, like there is a wake up call for everyone to truly get back to the simplicity of life and re-getting in tune with our planet, with the place where we're living, and to fully healing our relationship. So it's happening. It's a faster process, but it's happening right now. And the more we're embracing it, the more life it's simpler and happier and harmonious. I don't know. It's just fantastic. Thank you for this moment. It really helps to always remembering and remembering, because we all know, like, it's just remembering why we are doing this.
And for me, as a closing, and Amore, you can jump in after. I love to thank you guys for doing the work that you do. Amore, I thank you every day. But Mathia, what I love about what you guys do, aside from the syntropic farming and the planting of the trees and all of that, is I think you guys, you spoke about it earlier, integrity. There's a lot on the island here where there's, the wellness, the spiritual industry as such, if that it can be called an industry. I guess it can be called an industry now. But it's all about authenticity now, and I think you guys do your best to hold that flag of authenticity, and that's what I love about the events. You guys hold picnics for kids, you hold space for open mic where a granny can come and sing, or a youngster can come do a poem. You can just come and get involved. Then you hold prayer for certain groups, or you open space for specific retreats. And so if there's one thing that you guys are doing amazingly well at is on that journey is being a keeper of the land, holding it to its integrity to the best of your ability. And you've got a really interesting bunch of folks living in community there. But you're always all doing your best, and that's, I can always acknowledge you guys for. It's amazing to see, and at least you're trying to walk the path, because you're there. And so I love what you guys do. I think the events are cool, and thank you for being a beacon of integrity on the island. Not that there's just bullshit, there's amazing stuff on the island, but for me, you guys kind of stand out as one of those places of integrity. So that's cool.
Thank you.
Amore, is there anything you want to share in closing?
Well, yes, to close, I'm very grateful to be with the two of you. So with my brother Matt, to do this journey in the outside, the zoom out, the bigger scale, the planet, and walking together as the light warriors for the beautiful planet. And with you, my beautiful partner in the double detox and in all the space that we are creating for helping people, but from a journey within. to going deeper in our relation, and so to create that expansion that is able from that space of intimacy inside of ourselves. So I'm very grateful to be here with the two example of the pattern and on the journey, and being able to walk the two in parallel, and to be able to go inside and heal with our double detox, and then going outside and heal as above, so below, in this zoom in, zoom out, demonstrating that doesn't matter which path are you choosing, just move your energy and just move and go out from your comfort zone and start the journey to find out who you really are, the divine you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Aho. Well, listen, guys, have amazing. We're going to have an amazing time. We'll maybe have a follow-up conversation in a couple of months to see how it all went, and we'll include some footage of all of that. But thank you for spending time. I love you guys both, and I look forward to the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Besitos. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.